Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Saturday edition of the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are absolutely thrilled to be here with you on this fine Saturday evening. Hope you guys are having a great weekend, and it is now underway, so things are looking good. We had a great show last night, and a special thanks, of course, to Frank for throwing it over to us. We love you, brother, and hope things are great on your side of the country. But over on our side, it's been a really mild deal over here. It's been really, really nice. The weather's been good. It feels kind of like spring, I'm telling you, which to me is just a little bit of heaven. That's just every every melting drop of snow or flake of snow brings me closer to my joy. But another thing that brings me closer to my joy, of course, is my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard. How you doing?
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Hey, you want to aim that?
Oh. I must have hit it when.
You did, yeah. Look at those pipes, ladies and gentlemen. Look at those pythons.
Those pythons.
He's got... All right, so we, of course, are here to entertain you as well as we know how, and sometimes we seem to know a lot, and other times we don't seem to have a clue, but that is the portal, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you feel entertained. Are you not entertained? Gladiator, come on. Nothing done?
What?
Are you not entertained? Come on.
Gladiator?
Yeah,
sorry. I remember the movie.
All right, I'm just, trying to bring a little culture to the portal.
I don't know if that counts as culture.
Oh, come on. Russell Crowe and Gladiator, that was I liked that movie. I thought it was really good. I've watched it dozens of times and never get tired of it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special evening planned for you guys, and if you have been following our Facebook at all, you'll know, or listening to recent shows, you'll know that we tonight are joined by a wonderful friend, an amazing researcher of all things cryptid, but she's really been an amazing addition to the show when she's been able to appear, because she is about the only one out there that does any kind of significant research and field research into the Proto-Pygmies and Little People. And let me just get right to it and welcome to the show, Mrs. Robyn Moonshadow. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me again. Hello, Brett and Don. How is everybody?
All doing good.
I think we're good. Yeah, we're just getting the wheels off the ground here on the Starship portal, but I think we're looking good. So how's everything in your end of the world?
Cold. Very cold. We're like in the minuses up here.
Oh, man.
Which I think is like about 10 in Fahrenheit, give or take a little bit. So it's very cold, not a lot of snow.
Right. Okay. So has it been a milder winter for you guys, or has it been about average, or what are you guys noticing up there?
Well, it's been really strange. Usually we have a lot more snow, like a couple of feet by now.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, we've only got a couple of inches.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's my kind of winter. I don't know about you. Do you enjoy winter, though, Robyn?
No. No. It keeps me from going out.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I suppose, being a field researcher that you are, and you do many, many outings and trips out and about, I'm just absolutely fascinated by the things that you've brought to the table. And I really can't thank you enough for putting all the effort and time that you have into the Proto-Pygmies and Little People, because really there's nobody else out there doing it. And you've really set the stage. You've done a marvelous job of researching the lore, of going out there and finding some pieces of evidence and some really fascinating encounter stories that people have had. And I really thank you for that, because this is a subject that I'm absolutely passionate about. And it can't be an easy one for you.
Oh, it's not. And I enjoy it very, very much. Because like when I started this a few years ago, it was just a simple email asking me if I had heard about the little people that lived in the Arctic. Mm-hmm. I had heard about them, but I didn't do much research into them. Mm-hmm. And that's how this all started, was with the, as a collective, they're called the Urchin Rack. Oh. And from there, I started finding more and more, and a lot more people read my first blog called The Urchin Rack, Little People of the Arctic, and then they started coming forward. Oh. And telling me about experiences and sightings that they've had.
And this is on your blog, strangerealms.net, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, after the show, not during the show, of course, but after the show, if you want to learn more about what Robyn has been and doing and is working on currently, head over to strangerealms.net. That's her blog, and she also has an amazing group on Facebook. It's the Strange Realms Facebook group. So there's a couple of, your blog, of course, is absolutely amazing, and you've got some phenomenal work, and you've done a great job breaking down a lot of the lore and stuff on there, and I've found that absolutely fascinating. And Don and I were both really impressed by that last blog talking about the gnomes.
Yeah, gnomes for the holidays.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was phenomenal. Now, in your blog, you're referring to how this is the time of year when they're moving around, and it's probably the best time of year to actually see one. Is that correct?
That is true. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, the gnomes move from January to February. Mm-hmm. And that's when most sightings occur. And if you go back and look in their lore, this is the time of the year when most of the sightings, especially with the domestic gnomes or house gnomes, take place.
Mm. And for the listeners, could you just break down a little bit about these domestic and house gnomes?
The domestic gnomes are single, or they will bring a family with them. But first, we'll say male, he'll go and he'll find a suitable house or barn for him and or his family.
Okay.
Now, if you have offended them in some way, maybe by not giving them porridge on Christmas Eve or not appreciating their efforts, they will leave.
Wow.
They will not stand for abuse of animals or children. And that's another way to offend them, because they are short-tempered.
Oh, okay. Okay, now that was the other really cool thing about this blog. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people that can throw together a blog, but not many people would think to include the recipes as well. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, I'm thinking about whipping up some of that porridge and stuff too, because I think having a domestic gnome would be really fascinating and cool. Now, do people see them, or are they more an etheric being, or are they a physical being, or are they something in between?
Well, it's a physical appearance, as I believe that they are more flesh and blood.
Okay.
And they only let you see them if they want you to see them.
Okay.
Now we're told back in olden days, we'll say, that they worked side by side with us. Oh. So they were a common occurrence, and they would just walk around your house and help you tidy up.
Oh, wow. That would be so good.
like the brownies. Brownies like to just go about and do their own thing, and they are single, and they're always male.
Brownies are?
Brownies, yes. And don't ever offer them clothing, just food every night after their hard day's work, and they're very quiet.
Huh.
So if you offer them clothing, they become offended.
Wow. Okay, so that's like a slap. Are they a naked little thing running around then, or are they?
They usually just wear raggedy clothes, just very plain clothes, and they like to just have their own little spot in the house, usually a corner away from everybody, just to chill out at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say that these were the inspiration then for J.K. Rowling and her house elves from the Harry Potter series?
Well, I've read that they're supposed to be Puckwudgies.
Oh.
That's where she got her idea from, from Puckwudgies, but they don't look like Puckwudgies.
Yeah, and Puckwudgies are these horrible little things. I mean, they're
awful.
Yeah. So
I've seen the new Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and they do have a kappa in there, which is a Japanese little person.
Oh, really? Oh, that is really cool. Huh.
Yeah, couldn't miss out on that one. It has animals in it.
Speaking of little things, there's a little your little ball of fur.
Yep, he'll be right up on my shoulder in a minute, I'm sure. I'm his tree today.
Well, that's got to feel good on the ascent, huh?
This is Binks. Aww. This is the latest edition.
He's adorable. Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful boy.
Yeah, he's cute. With all 10 white shiny nails.
Does he get along well with the others?
Well, it's funny. We've had him for about 6 days now.
Uh-huh.
So they're all coming around and starting to play with him. But my male cat, Frodo, of course, he liked him right from the start.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's
And
nice.
we have 6 cats, and they're all female except for Frodo.
And
So
now
I think
Big's...
he's glad that he has another male in the house.
He's like, yes, one more in the votes.
Yeah, because he don't mess with the females at all.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, when you're talking about porridge, and when you're in that blog, and that was absolutely cool. I was just blown away by that. Do you imply that is pretty much all they eat is this porridge, or do they allegedly have more diverse diets than that, or I'm just trying to understand this.
Well, porridge is a special treat for them on Christmas Eve.
Oh, just Christmas Eve.
Just Christmas Eve, or yeah, Christmas Eve.
Okay.
But they eat a variety of things. Some will say that they're vegetarians,
Oh,
especially the woodland gnomes,
okay.
because they like animals so much they don't want to eat them.
Oh, okay.
But they will harvest fur like mouse fur, and they'll whip it up like you would with wool and make clothing from that.
Right.
That is
And they dye their own clothes.
wow.
They whatever it is that they specialize in, that they are the masters of their trade because they pass it down through generations.
So they are like the true craftsmen and
Yes.
generational craftsmen. That's really wonderful.
Yes.
Now,
With the leprechauns, we're told that they are the best at making beer.
Send them my
Spirits.
way.
Don wants a leprechaun.
Yeah, I thought Dom would like that.
Yes.
Now, where does the gold come in for the leprechauns, though? I mean, it's the whole gold
Well,
legend.
I could go with a pot of beer. I'd be okay.
It's colored gold usually, yeah. So, what about the pot of gold, Robyn?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Well, it is said that because there was so much buried treasure on the island of Ireland from all the pirate ships and uh, the Romans burying treasure there, that they have collected it.
Oh, okay.
Like gold is really of no use to them because they don't spend it on anything. Like I prefer to think they like it because it's shiny.
Okay.
Now, if you catch a leprechaun, they have two pouches. One has a silver coin and one has a gold coin. And depending on what you ask for, you'll get a silver or gold coin.
Wow.
And of course, they're tricky and you're not to take your eyes off them or they'll be gone just like that.
No kidding. That is so cool.
Slippery little dogs.
Now, yeah, the Leprechauns Cousins are called the Curicons.
Curicon.
Now, they're the ones that are like the black sheeps of the family.
Okay.
And they will be the ones riding through the night on the back of a pig or a goat and causing havoc, just mayhem, just out of fun because they're drunks. They drink every night, but on weekends it's special and they just go out.
Wow, they can party.
They can party, yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, no. That's friends for life.
Don's bonding already, and he hasn't even met him.
Gotta look them up.
For a good time, call a Curicon.
Yep.
So now, of these, and you of course outlined many of them in this blog, but of them, how many of them would be allegedly here in North America?
Well, any and all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, when the first settlers started coming to America and Canada, gnomes were seen on ships and scavenging along shorelines.
Oh, after
Or
shipwrecks?
just looking out at the blue. Maybe they were coming to a new world, like like not me, but like other people were doing, and maybe something had happened to their family. Because see, some, especially the leprechauns, will attach themselves to some families and stay with that family for generations.
Oh, okay. Now that tends to come up a lot in Irish lore, not only for the like the leprechauns as you're saying, but I know that banshees are allegedly tied to family lines as well.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
So that's funny that in the Irish realm of things that they really tie a lot of there's a lot of gravity to a bloodline. In other words, that it's not just, I think other cultures, and not to say the Irish were the only ones to do that, but you hear about that mentioned over and over about, the family lines being so important.
Yeah, we also see that with the some of the little proto
Uh-huh.
proto Indians as well.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, especially with the Cherokee Little People. If a certain family bloodline
Mm-hmm.
has a long history with them, they will stay around and protect them, especially when they're out hunting.
Okay.
Because they might be small, but numbers overwhelm.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, think of our ancestors taking down mammoths, for God's sake. I mean, those things were like enormous, and with enough numbers and enough attitude, I guess they did it. They took them down. So you're absolutely right, and they are intelligent. Now, on a scale of intelligence, would you say that they're in the same intelligence area as we are?
Oh, absolutely, because they still are little people,
Uh huh.
and they just choose to live in the old ways.
Mm.
Now, we know some house gnomes will use the internet and plug in for electricity.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
You gotta.
I've got one story, and it's it makes sense to me that sorry, let me put him on the floor. He's a Puckwudgie. The 14-year-old boy had just come home from school, and he saw a gnome. It was clearly a gnome because it had a red hat, the red pointed hat,
Ooh.
and he was using his computer.
Wow.
And when and when he saw that the boy had come home, of course he took off and he went out the window. It was just single story, but he went out the window.
No kidding.
What was a gnome looking for?
Yeah.
What online?
He was looking at dogs.
He was looking at dogs.
Dogs, yep.
Wow. That is amazing.
Competition for the household.
Could be, maybe he was shopping for a horse. I don't know.
Yeah. He needs a new steed. Get a Chihuahua. Now, is that would that be a red hat then?
That would be a red hat gnome, yes.
Okay, and they're usually little vicious things, aren't they?
No, it depends on the gnome themselves. Of course, we have the red caps and the Duendes. Now they're vicious.
Okay.
They look like gnomes, except that they file their teeth down to a point and their fingernails.
Oh, jeez.
And they are dirty, and they have matted, dirty beards.
Okay, so
and
red cap.
They set out purposely to scare us and play awful pranks on us. Like the Duende in Mexico and Argentina, they will stick sticks in the spokes of bikes.
Oh, wow.
As they're riding by to knock you down,
geez.
they'll throw rocks and glass bottles at you from windows. And
oh, man. That is amazing.
Yeah, it says here they'll lodge in any abandoned building, sewer, or warehouse, and have been reported in Mexico, Argentina, America, and across Europe, especially their homeland. You say Rumpelstiltskin would have been a duende or a red cap.
Oh, yeah. If you think about the story of Rumpelstiltskin and how he kidnapped children for money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he was awful tempered.
Yeah.
This is something that I figured that they would do. Now, they haven't been reported to kidnap children that we know of, but it is something that they would do if given the chance.
Wow.
That is amazing. My head's still reeling about that thing being in there using the internet.
I know.
I mean, it's really impressive because, to think that they understand, the technology that it can be used to reach out and to look for things. They must have been watching for a hell of a long time,
Yeah.
Well, they will. They will watch us we know that sometimes they live within the walls or basements of houses, like high rises like in New York.
Okay.
And I like to joke around that, like I've seen them when I've been at a hotel and there's the small doors that they use for bringing in water through fire hydrants. And I always call that a gnome door. But who's saying they don't use those?
Right, right. Well, and I suppose like all these places that have pet doors on them, homes and such,
Oh yeah,
they're probably in and out of people's houses.
It's not the cat that's stealing the stuff next door.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a gnome, yeah. I actually have a friend who lives in Toronto, and we're debating whether he has perhaps a poltergeist maybe, or if he has a little person in his building.
Wow.
He set down a chocolate bar or granola bar or something like that, and he went into the kitchen to get a drink, and when he came back, it was gone.
Wow.
I was like, do you have rats? And we discussed, maybe you have rats. And he's like, no, we don't have rats in the building or mice that I know of. But he's like, it was like 2 minutes and it was gone.
Wow.
That is amazing.
I said, well, if it's a poltergeist, it might reappear, the chocolate bar might reappear somewhere else. Sure. And if it's a gnome, you ain't going to see that chocolate bar again.
You're not even going to see the wrapper.
He also was making barbecue sauce, and some of his thyme disappeared.
Really?
Like thyme that he was cooking with.
Right. Wow.
He says, I know I just bought some just the other day, and now it's gone. I'm like, well, that sounds like something they would take because it's useful to them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. I suppose they would want to season their food just as much as
Stuff that
we
in
would.
your pipe and smoke it.
Oh, we have.
And sometimes they'll trade you things.
Oh.
Okay.
If they take a spoon, they might replace it with something of value.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a rock that they think is valuable.
So I have a question from our chat room, and it's from Dana, one of our chatters, and she's asking, is there any way to gnome-proof a home?
House.
Don't get a pet door.
So is it just as simple as making sure that there's no big crevices or anything they could get through, and is it just as simple as that, or are there things that they don't like that you could hang up that would encourage them not to be in your house?
No, I think if they find a spot that they like, they'll stay there for a while. But having a gnome in your house is considered good luck.
Oh, okay.
So no, if you don't want them there, then you could just ask them to leave. If you're suspicious that you have one there, they will leave. They're very well mannered.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's a red cap or a duende, in which case they won't care.
So do the red caps and duendes, do they live in these metro areas or urban areas as well?
Well, they tend to live in the abandoned buildings and on the outskirts.
Okay, so like a old industrial area would probably be a place to look for them or something.
Yes, because they don't seem to like us very much.
Yeah, well,
good for them.
It's hard to blame them in a lot of cases. Actually, I'm not sure that I like us very much sometimes. And telling you the things people do, but it's if it's possible that they are just living right there. The surprising thing, I guess, is that there are so few sightings of them. Or do you think people just don't report it? I mean, what is your feel on that?
I think it's a bit of both. When you see a little person, it can be unsettling, and you don't want to tell nobody.
Right, because you automatically.
Yeah, even if you're sure of what you saw.
Wow, I suppose that's true because automatically people are going to assume there's something wrong with you.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, it's a whole Bigfoot argument.
Yeah,
it's very, very similar, I'd imagine.
Huh?
Yeah, like a lot of the reports I've got are usually start out with, I'm glad you're doing these things, and I'm glad I can talk to you because nobody else would believe me, and please don't mention my name.
Yeah, that's going to enter into there somewhere. But now, how many stories do you suppose or reports do you get in any 30-day period, or is it just feast and famine kind of thing?
Yeah, it's feast and famine pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
It seems to go in waves. Now, since I mentioned on my website that this is the time of year where they're on the move and let me know, I've gotten 5.
Really?
Wow, that's awesome. And what?
It's pretty good. I know it seems like a low number, but it's still pretty good.
Well, I think that's actually really encouraging to me. I was expecting maybe 1 or 2, but that's exciting. Are they all in the same region or are they spread out?
Oh, they're all spread out.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have I've gotten one from here in Canada that was sorry, from up north.
Uh-huh.
It's actually where my aunt and uncle just they're sub teachers, and they just come back from there. It was from Nunavut, which is very north
Oh, okay.
of where I am.
Well, now hold that thought,
And
Robyn, because we're going to go to our break. But I want to hear
okay,
about this when we come back.
Yeah, definitely.
This is just absolutely fascinating, and ladies and gentlemen, you can see why I love having her on the show. This is a subject I think is absolutely magical and wonderful, and I get excited as hell just to think of the possibility that they're out there, and I believe they are. But we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away for more of the Paranormal Portal.
No fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Paranormal Portal Saturday edition. We are live and having a blast, actually. Some great discussion already.
Loving it.
I just love this topic. This is so cool. And of course, our special guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Miss Robyn Moonshadow, who is joining us here all the way up from the frozen tundras of Canada. Welcome back. Thanks again for being on the show tonight. It's just really phenomenal. And I just could listen to you talk about this stuff all night. And you know, it just never gets old.
It doesn't, and I'm constantly learning more and more.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Now, what would you say is some of the more recent things that have come to your attention that have really surprised you about these things?
Well, for one, like we mentioned before break, was them using the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, before that, I would have thought they would have cared less.
Right, yeah. But it just shows, I mean, it really demonstrates the intelligence and the adaptability, I guess, is what's just phenomenal to me. And you're right. I'd asked you before the break as well, do you think they're as smart as us? And well, I think using the internet is probably a pretty good indicator. Although you wouldn't know that from some of the chat rooms around, but not ours. Our chat rooms are always wonderful, but man, some of the clowns that are online, they barely must be able to log in something. But no, I think that is absolutely cool. But it's also a little unnerving.
Yeah, definitely that.
Well, it is a little unnerving when you see a little person, because you look at it in two ways. It's kind of like a whoa, and it upsets you a little bit, or wow, that's really cool.
Right.
Hey, Robyn, we have a question in the chat room. Somebody asks, can they shapeshift? Can gnomes shapeshift?
No, they can't.
So,
But we do know that Puckwudgies, now they're not a gnome.
Okay.
They're their own little thing. But Puckwudgies will trick you.
and
They will call your name.
Oh, okay.
They're as small as a gnome, and they will piggyback and call your name, and you go see what's going on, and you disappear.
Oh,
okay.
That's not good.
No.
Now, which of these little people would you say are capable of doing the shape shifting?
Would any? Yeah.
I don't think any of the gnomes would, because they're very, like I said, they're very prideful little people.
Okay.
And I think they seem to disappear because they are so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Their center of gravity is low.
Sure. But what about, is there any of them, any of the different races that are known to have mystical power?
Oh, we know the hidden people, which are like elves, but they're not elves themselves. They have been known to shapeshift, to hide from people.
Oh.
Wow. No.
Folklore tells us that they will seem to look like a rock or a tree.
Oh. Now, can you tell us a little bit about these hidden people? I've not heard of these.
Well, like I said, they're like the elves, but they're not of the elves, because elves come from, very tiny, like Keebler elves, to very tall, like the ones in Lord of the Rings.
Okay. But we don't...
And they come to us from Sweden and Germany and Switzerland, and they are very protective of those people are very protective.
So
Yeah.
Is this the Hulda folk?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay.
What are the Hulda folk?
The Hulda folk are elves, basically elves from Iceland and that area. So.
Okay. So hidden folk, they would look like an elvish kind of thing. Are they large, like we are, or are they the smaller version of elf?
They're both.
Oh, really? But
Yes.
But they're not elves.
But they're not elves. No, they're not considered elves.
Okay.
But they look like elves. So there's something completely different. They actually have an elf school in Iceland, and you can go and spend the day there learning about elves and hidden people.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That is
Like I can't go there myself, but I'm trying to get a hold of the copy of the book that they use, the textbook.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That would be way cool.
That would be. If you can get an English version, I wouldn't even try to
Just read
understand the
Icelandic,
Icelandic. When we hit a story that comes out of Iceland, it just makes me just shudder because not because I have any disrespect, but because their pronunciation, everything about their language is so different than what I am accustomed to. So it's like I can't make heads or tails out of their words.
Right.
And their belief system when it comes to little people and giants and elves and hidden people.
Okay.
They're very open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like something like between 60 and 80% of the population still believe
Sure.
in these little people and elves and whatnot. I think that's just fabulous that they're that open-minded.
Right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean to pigeonhole Robyn just into the little people because she does Bigfoot research. She does even giant research and dogman research. And so about the giants, now that's another one that I find absolutely fascinating, that these humongous beings are still around and they're still reported. People are seeing in mountainous areas and this is pretty much global as far as I understand, but they're seeing these huge, like 15 to 20 foot tall men or people and marching right up mountainsides and stuff. And that to me is just equally as phenomenal. Although that one I have to admit would be a little more terrifying because of just the sheer scale of it. It's like, my God, if you saw something like that, there's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they're not seeing them, they're seeing tracks, which aren't Bigfoot tracks.
Right. Yeah. Now, I had heard a story of like an elderly guy that was in his 70s and had been a hunter his whole life. And I think it was in the mountains of Montana. He was hunting. And he had been hunting this area, and he was in his tree stand, and all of a sudden he just was feeling this rumbling, and he turned and looked and saw this giant red-haired, red-bearded man going through the trees and march right up the side of the mountain he was hunting. And allegedly, he just put down his weapon and decided that his hunting days were over, that he was done. That was it. That was the final straw of his journey hunting. But I can't say I blame him, because what an emasculating feeling to see something so large come by, you know?
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Even if I saw a giant, I think that would unsettle me more than seeing a little person.
Right. Yeah.
Because we know that a large populace of the giants were cannibals.
Well, sure. Yeah, that they would eat people, yeah.
Yeah. We're easy prey. So, yeah, compared to them, yeah.
Right. Now, did you hear the story coming out of Afghanistan of the giant of Kandahar?
Yes, I have heard that one. I'm on the fence about that because it's a little too perfect, but it is in the right area for giants.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
No, it would seem to stand to reason, though, that if there was one, that they would try to recover it and then haul in the carcass, which is what is claimed to have happened in this situation. But I mean, are these giants largely subterranean?
We don't know. There seems to be a vast difference between, say, the ones that live in caves and the ones that are out in the woods.
Okay.
And some talk, some don't.
Oh, okay. So it's another whole spectrum of beings. It's not just one large type of being wandering around out there. It could be several different types as well.
Yes, like clan-wise. Well, we know from the Bible that they're basically called the Nephilim, if I'm pronouncing that right, because we have different pronunciations on it. But see, with Nephilim is a clan name.
Oh.
There are other giants in the Bible as well that were not called Nephilim. They had different names.
Oh, okay.
And of course, with Goliath, he either had two brothers or two sons.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they were as big and as tall as him. And they also had the extra digit on their finger and their toes.
Okay. Wow.
And of course, then there is Gilgamesh. He was also a giant.
Well, if I remember correctly, Noah was a giant as well. So anybody before that time, I believe, was larger than the average man now. And that's supposedly part of why the deluge came around, was to wipe the Nephilim from the face of the earth, except Noah, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes, it's with the giant gene, it seems to run in Noah's DNA, because one of his sons is said to be the the great 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 grandson of, I think it's Ham.
Okay. I'll have to scrub up on that particular, but yeah, that sounds about right.
So one of these giants is said to be his great great, how many greats it was, grandson.
Wow.
And yes, the deluge was sent to rid us of the giants.
Right.
But not all the giants.
Yeah, apparently not, because there's still some kicking around apparently.
Because when you take a trip over here to America and Canada, you see that the giants were still here long after the flood took place.
Yep.
Now, what kind of evidences have you heard of that people have gathered for the giants?
Oh, well, we have mostly footprints.
Okay, and what would the measurements of this be?
Well, Canadian and American measurements are different.
Sure.
Like a size 15.
Okay. Size.
And size 18, sandal-footed or boots.
Oh, they are. They're like wearing something on their feet, though. They're not walking around barefoot, is what you're saying.
Yeah, some do walk around bare feet, but that seems to be only in the hot weather.
Oh, okay. Well, I can respect that. I'm barefoot as much as I can be as well.
Definitely.
And ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening to tonight's discussion, please feel free to call in if you have a question for Robyn or something that we've gone over that you'd like to know more about. And the call-in number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998, or you can call 833-TFR live, and that'll get you through. But I'm keeping an eye on the call board, so if you call in, we'll be able to get you right on. But if you're calling from across the pond into the UK, the call-in number is 44. What is it? 44. It looks like it's changed. No, wait, that's not it. Hold on. I'm almost reading the wrong one here. It's 44203-393-2871. Again, 44203-393-2871 for the UK. So
speaking of questions, because Lady Death just she alerted me to a question that was being asked. Our chatter, Alyssa Brittany, asks, can gnomes flicker out of frequency or make themselves invisible?
They might appear to be invisible because they move so quick.
Okay.
Now, I've heard of them flickering out. Okay. Now, I don't know if that's because they can do that or if it's because that they move so fast. It appears that way.
Kind of like a strobe light kind of effect.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you say moving fast, can you kind of quantify that a little bit? Like, I mean, my 3-year-old son is fast, especially when he's into something he shouldn't be. But what do you mean by fast?
Well, they're about the size of George here.
Okay.
Behind me, and their center of gravity is lower to the ground.
Right.
So they move very fast.
Okay, but do you have like a like how many miles per hour, kilometers per hour, kind of, you know what I mean? Because like an adult male generally can run, I think 15 miles an hour, 10 to 15 miles an hour on average, I think. But how much quicker than us would they be?
I think faster than we can run.
Okay.
Just about cheetah speed, I would bet.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
But of course, that would be over short durations. I mean, obviously, because we've got longer strides, they would tire out. We would catch them eventually.
Dwarves are natural sprinters, as he says, as Gimli says.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, my dear Gimli.
Yeah.
We also have
definitely short bursts of speed, but they could do it like you might see them out of the corner of your eye, and you're pretty sure you saw something, but because it was so quick, you can't be sure.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had that happen over the summer where I thought I caught it on the GoPro.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked back, and I even watched it in slow motion, and I did not get it.
Really? Wow, that
I was
fast.
very disappointed. It had a brown cap on, and I'm pretty sure it was a woodland gnome because it had the brown cap on.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, so
Oh,
close.
Wow. We have another question from Barry in the chat. He wants to know, what do you know about the Woodwives?
The woodwives, the wives of the woodland gnomes.
or the
Um,
Woodwise or something. There's a. I think I know what he's trying to say, or what you're trying to say, Don. But it's like a WYSE or something. Woodwise. I'm gonna look it up here. Wood. I don't know.
Yes, we might know it by different names.
Yeah, I've heard. What he's saying is familiar, but I'm trying to figure out how it's spelled.
oh goodness.
What?
Well, I just read something that Matthew Learns just said. He said, Don can run 30 miles an hour when his beard is braided.
Yeah, are you wearing the dragons tonight?
No,
No, you didn't.
no.
You didn't tie your
I
beard down.
accidentally pulled him out the other night when Barry, if that's another name for what you asked for, I don't know what I don't even know. A scrogra, a scrogra, Skoggra.
Maybe he's talking about a wood wolves. I'm looking.
I don't know.
Okay.
We might know them by peek arounds.
Peek arounds, okay.
Does that sound about right, Barry? Peek arounds? Because we're not sure what peek arounds are.
What?
To
What?
some people, a peek around is like a Bigfoot. To other people, it's like a dog man.
Hmm.
They'll hide behind trees and spy on you. And they were considered to be the cause of loggers' disappearances.
Oh, jeez. That's just such a disheartening thing. It's like, loggers are like the manly men. Those are big boys,
My
and
cousins are loggers. Oh my god.
yeah, and then you think there's just things out there that might prey on them.
So okay, so let me do this. He says Skogsra, Skogsra, Skogsra. I may be pronouncing it wrong still.
I will look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to find Woodwose is a mythical. It's Woodwose. If this is what he's talking about.
Oh, Woodwargy.
Okay, it says Woodwose here, but it's a mythical bestial creature resembling the Sasquatch or Bigfoot of medieval Europe, and the term Woodwasa is the Anglo-Saxon version. Woodwasa is believed by some to be the link between humans and their ancient ancestors. So
Yeah, so it's a different type of Bigfoot.
okay, yeah, and that yeah.
Okay, actually, if well, here's the thing. I typed in. Let's see here. So I googled for Skogsra, and what I came up with was, it appears in the form of a small, beautiful woman with seemingly friendly temperament. However, those who are enticed into following her into the forest are never seen again.
Oh.
This is the Skogra from Sweden, or the forest Ra, mistress of the forest.
Huh.
And it does say Huldra, so a mythical female creature of the forest. So
It's like,
that's what
see,
I'm
see,
saying.
but that sounds like one of the evil fairy types.
Mm.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, somebody who leads you away. It's like Will of the Wisps. They lead you away, but they may lead you astray. Not good.
So
Well, there is a story that I got last year from New Brunswick that goes back to 1912.
oh, nice.
That a husband and the wife's brother were out cutting wood, and they thought that they heard women playing
Oh.
and the flutes and the music, and they go to see what was going on, and they found a whole bunch of little women dancing around in a circle, and playing flutes, and I guess you would call them mini guitars, and they started dancing and couldn't stop.
Oh.
And the wife had to actually bring cold water and throw on them.
Oh, wow.
And when she did that, the little people, the little women scattered.
Huh.
Now that sounds what I would think wood wives would be. So that would fit what my mind says.
Hmm. Now that also sounds like it's a real common theme in a lot of the Fae, as far as enchanting people through music and song and stuff, and causing them to.
Yeah, but sirens do it too.
Well, sure, and I believe dryads are also alleged to try to seduce people as well. Is that? I think that's correct. But I mean, it gets so diverse, and that's the tough part, I suppose, is how to draw distinctions and differentiations between these legendary names and what people are experiencing now. But the whole song and being hypnotized by that is a real common thing that I've heard when I've researched the Fae.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't really deal with the Fae too much, right, Robyn?
No, I don't. I just deal with the little people, like the Proto-Pygmies.
Uh-huh. Okay.
There are a lot of great online sites on Facebook and some great books about the Fae people.
Okay. Yeah, and I think there's also quite a lot of ideas out there about the Fae.
Right.
And they go from the fantastical to the plausible to the everything in between. And I don't mean to sound condescending when I say that, but sometimes some of the information out there just seems, I don't know, just
Contrary to everything. I mean, one will be so far, off center that the center looks so far the other way. It's
right.
It's really hard to really kind of nail that one down. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's been my experience, and I suppose for you as well, researching these things, Robyn, that's got to be a frustrating part, is separating the just legend and exaggeration from whatever you can quantify, really, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, after a while, you kind of get a nose for these types of things. Like one story I got was just silly. He had been doing some kind of a drug and woke up and saw a little person drinking a Slurpee.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I suppose they'd probably. I imagine they're probably creatures of opportunity, right?
Oh, no doubt. But he's pretty sure the little guy got the Slurpee at the local gas station.
I've seen a video of a little, supposedly what would be a little person of some type, walk into a store. It was supposedly on a video camera, a security camera, and steal like a candy bar that was, hanging off the front counter, so you can never tell anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I'm always leery, but there is one good one, and I believe it, no doubt, where there are boys, and they seem to be in some kind of a dirt bike race.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that video.
Yeah,
That
and you
comes out
only
of
see that
Indonesia.
little person for a second, because he
Yep.
just peeks his head out of the tall grass, and he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the somebody has a helmet cam and it's like a GoPro, and that's out of Indonesia actually, and or Malaysia.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's where my wife is from actually, and I thought that was absolutely fascinating too. Now they do capture this thing on this camera. I mean, you can see it, but okay, there's a good example of how quick they are. There you go, because that thing was just in the trail. The one guy wiped out just avoiding it because it came out, and boom, it ran down the trail and just disappeared into the long grass, and it was just gone.
Yeah, and the video doesn't seem to be any kind of a setup, because some of the bikers just keep right on going, not knowing what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a perfectly innocent bike race, motorcycle race, a dirt bike race, whichever it was.
Yeah.
And 3 people saw it on the bikes, and he got it on the GoPro or whatever he had.
Right, and there again, one of the things, and I mentioned this on another show. I actually, when it comes to the little people and it comes to the videos, I love the ones out of like Latin America and overseas that are really low resolution, and you can tell they were captured on what we would consider really older technology. But I love that fact, because to me that lends it a lot of credibility that they don't have a full editing suite at home that they can put these things in there.
No, they don't. A lot of the videos are good. You can check their clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they're wearing something like Michael Jackson would wear, that's not real.
Well, we're working towards our hour break here. We got about 20 seconds before the break, but ladies and gentlemen, the call-in board is open, and if you have a question that you'd like to ask or you'd like to say hello, call in 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. But we're going to take our hour break here, and we will be back once again for more of the magic of the Strange Realms with Miss Robyn Moonshadow here on the portal. So don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid toy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the second hour of our show tonight. I hope you guys are enjoying the journey. I know I'm enjoying bringing it to you. This is a fascinating discussion, and it's great to have a guest on like Robyn, who has such a diverse experience and methodology, and I mean, she's not only just a researcher in the fact that she learns about things, but she actually goes out there and does the field work. So my hat's definitely off to you, Robyn. That's pretty awesome. But welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And now tell us about some of your journeys out into areas where you've researched.
Well, this past summer, I was up in Adirondacks in New York, and I was doing some hobbying up there, and that's where I found my very first own little person track. It was down by the water. Now, it was only a single track because it was in the mud, and then it must have stepped onto a bunch of broken branches, and I couldn't pick up the trail after that.
Oh, wow.
So I was very excited about that. So we know that there are in that area. And my research partner, Dwight Campbell, who has also, I believe it was in February, that he got an actual picture of a little person, a Cherokee, near the, a Cherokee little person up near the Cherokee Reservation.
Oh, wow.
In North Carolina. And he also found a Bigfoot track in that area. So it was very exciting. We're looking forward to going again within the next 2 years. And I also went further up north of me this year to, and I was able to track a very big track. Now they're big in this particular area. We're talking 8 feet tall, and they're shaggy. These Bigfoot.
Sure.
Yeah, and they look a little bit different. They don't have what we see like Patty would have with a flatter face. They have an almost chimp-like face, but they are huge, and they are known to drag whole trees, roots and all, out onto the road.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
So yeah, I went up there thinking I wasn't going to find any signs of Bigfoot, and I was going to find little people because there had been a couple reports of little people with floppy ears.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was the opposite. I didn't find any proof of little people, but I found the track, and like I said, I was able to track it. And at that time, there was a small black bear running around the campground.
Oh, man.
So we have the 2 tracks. We have the bear track, which, of course, is a smaller, somewhat rounder track.
Uh-huh.
And then we have this big, let me see. His foot was about between 11 and 14 inches long.
Oh, jeez.
So he's huge.
Yeah.
And he stepped over a log that I actually had to crawl over.
Oh, man.
And so he put his hands on the log and just swung 1 foot over.
Sure. Wow.
So we have the 2 tracks where they were eating wild blackberries, or this one area that was near a peat bog.
Oh, okay.
So it was very exciting, and I was able to track him for a while. And he went up into a woods area,
Mm-hmm.
and I figured, yeah, I think I'm done tracking.
That was where the trail ended for you, but that's a good choice, I think.
Yeah, because we know that, like big cats, if they're in the area, they will watch you track them.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And given his size, I was just a little bit leery. Now, I will be going up there again this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll into the same area, and I'll track them a bit more.
Right, and you've done videos of your expeditions out and about too, haven't you? I mean, you post them on YouTube, or where are you posting those?
Yeah, I have them on YouTube. It's also called Strange Realms,
Okay, so they can.
and you can actually watch me track him for a while.
Wow.
I must have missed that because I remember seeing the picture that was on Facebook of the footprint, but I don't remember anything else from that actually, other than you mentioning it. So I'll have to look into that again. I didn't. I missed it. So
Yeah, this is on our YouTube channel.
yeah.
Yeah, it's up in Algonquin Park, Squatchin and Hobbin in Algonquin Park, number 3.
Okay. Okay.
Wow. Now, with
I did go all over, like I said, and I found some pretty big moose poop and some bear poop on the other side of this area, but
Yeah.
I didn't find any little people. But I will look again.
Oh, sure. Now, with Bigfoot, it's believed that they are at least semi-migratory in that they have kind of a mobile range within a range, is what I understand. I know there's a few differing ideas about this, and the definition of it, of course, is flexible. But do these little people also migrate with seasons, or are they pretty much just in one place and that's where they are all year round?
So far, we see that they don't migrate.
Okay.
Because their home is their home.
Okay. Wow.
Like give an example with the Puckwudgies again. It doesn't seem to matter the time of year they're seen.
Oh, okay.
Well, now why do you think it's this time of year that they move around like that?
The gnomes?
Yeah.
Well, this is the time of the year that they're most seen. And then looking back at even through folklore, sometimes you have to look there.
Sure.
This is when they say they move.
Yeah, but why? Now, something else that Brent mentioned is that, and maybe I misheard, but do they also do they have some kind of a connection for the first of the year? Like, do they celebrate it? Do they observe? You know, how do they? You know, is there something about, or is it just Christmas that they really kind of, you know, pay attention to?
Well, they seem to celebrate this time of the year. Just like Christmas, you see Santa Claus himself was a gnome.
Right.
And throughout the years, he got transformed into a big, jolly, happy man, but he still wears the same colors.
Oh, you know, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, that hat certainly would
You know
scream
what?
gnome.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if you take Santa Claus's hat that seems to be, tipped over a little bit and put it straight up, it's a cap.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a red cap too. Ooh.
In a red cap, yeah. Even in the poem or the story, 'twas the night before, not the nightmare before Christmas, the night before Christmas. They speak of him as an elf or a gnome.
Sure. Yeah, the jolly old elf.
Jolly old elf, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And of course it's funny because the universal vision of that as well. I mean, all around the world there are versions of this Santa Claus like figure, but he's even across different cultures, and many of them he's still dressed in the same kind of garb, although his description changes depending on the region you're in. And of course that gets tied back to pagan roots in actuality as well. But there again, and by pagan I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I think that's fantastic and fine. But It's just the survivability of that character, going through so many iterations and stuff. That I think that's a very strong thing. But there must be a lot of different cultures that also have that in the roots of their folklores as well.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Like the name Nicholas comes from the word nis or nissi, which is also means gnome.
Oh, yeah.
So we have Saint Nicholas, a gnome.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You're hearing it here. But this is most of the information that we're talking about regarding the gnomes. Again, you can find it on Robyn's blog, and it's a really a brilliant, really well-rounded blog entry, and she covers so many of these different types and what they're known for and stuff like that. But I just find it absolutely fascinating.
Hey, Robyn, we have somebody in the chat room that's asking, and we've talked about this before. You don't really go into fairies because they're not proto peoples. Could you give us your definition again of the difference between proto-pygmies or proto-peoples and fairies?
Well, proto-pygmies are 2 to 3 feet high, and fairies are just little people. Now, in some traditions and religions, the proto-pygmies and fairies are all of the same family.
Okay.
It depends on what you believe.
Okay.
You can, like I said, you could believe that if you like. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Right.
Now, I do read a lot about fairies because, like I said, because they are all considered of the same family.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read fairy lore to find about the proto-pygmies.
Right. Okay. Well, because the question that was actually asked, and this may be a little different, but can you tell us about the fairy crosses found near Linville Falls, North Carolina? Do you know what they're referring to there?
I don't.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But I am going to North Carolina in February, and if I get there, I will have a look. Where was it again?
Linville. Let me get here. Linville. So Linville Falls, North Carolina.
If I'm in that area, I will have a look.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Now I want to know about it too. You seeded the curiosity in me. But now you've also, as we mentioned previously, have done a lot of Bigfoot and Sasquatch research as well. Now, it's what really surprises me is these regions and these areas are overlapped so much by so many different, for lack of a better term, creatures.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see that their behavior is different depending on where they are too, where sometimes they'll be more aggressive in a certain area, and in other areas they're very calm and they'll just walk away.
Okay.
Now the migratory, I am working on that theory.
Okay.
Just this year, I wasn't expecting anything. In fact, I was just going to get a trail cam, and I walked up on, I believe, at least 2.
No kidding.
Now, I couldn't see them because the bush was so thick.
Uh-huh.
And it was snowing a bit that day, and I wasn't being quiet whatsoever. And I got into this particular area, and I've been in this area half a dozen times this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen tracks. And then I got the knocking, the 2 knocks.
Wow.
And I was able to stop and listen for a few minutes. I do have that video on the YouTube if you all want to check that out. And like I said, I think that they were younger, or they just were busy and not paying attention. But as soon as I got close enough for them to see or hear me, the 2 knocks started.
Wow. Now, were you alone?
I was alone. I usually squatch alone.
Really? Now, that's pretty brave.
I squatch alone, all by myself. Sorry.
What about?
I do go with people, or they come with me, whichever. Sometimes.
Uh-huh. And have you had any situations where you've been absolutely terrified?
Well, no, I didn't post this on YouTube because you can't hear it, and I'll only put stuff up if you can see something or hear it, because otherwise it's just all air.
Right.
It was about 3 weeks ago. I had went back to check on a trail cam, and I'd gotten the card out and was on my way back, and I heard something heavy jump from a tree.
Oh.
And again, I didn't see it, but I knew it was there, and I now carry a high-powered pellet handgun.
Right.
Okay.
Now, it's not going to kill anything, but it will hurt something, because I won't kill animals unless it's like life or death. And I was aware that it was there. Now, it was pretty heavy, and like I said, I don't know what it was, but it did jump out of the tree. Now, I'm not going to say it's a Sasquatch or anything like that, because I didn't see it, but it was enough for me to actually unhook my pellet gun, and I carry a machete too, because sometimes that might be quicker, and I actually unsheathed it.
Oh, yeah.
And that actually unnerved me.
Yeah, I bet. Now, Don, when you and I were checking out that one camping area,
Right.
Did you hear that when that thump happened?
I did. I do. Are you talking about when we first got on there? We crossed the border where we weren't supposed to be, and then and then as we went through that backside, or as we came down the road.
The road is, and we were getting towards the truck.
Right. We were coming back, right?
And something up on the side of the hill just went. It was this really deep thump.
I remember that, yeah.
And it was like, what the hell is that?
Because I remember you stopped and you looked up, and I was like, oh, yeah, I heard it too, yeah.
Right, and of course we're in the north of Idaho here, and this is, I mean, it's regarded as pretty Sasquatchy country, and of course there's a lot of encounters and witness reports coming out of here as well.
Check your call line.
Oh, do we have a call?
Hopefully.
No, there's no
dang
call. Why?
Well, I told Alyssa to call because unfortunately she wanted to go back to the reports before the first break, but unfortunately my brain has moved past the first break.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what we were talking about there, but
yeah, please call in if you got a question. Again, 213-233-3998, 213-233-3998. So give me a call and we'll make sure that you get a chance to ask your question.
As time provides.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the deep thud that the two of you heard is also acquainted with Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's what my impression of it was as well. It was just like something jumping out of a tree that was really meaty.
Right. Yeah, actually.
There was a lot of mass to it because it wasn't like it was right next to us. It was at least several, maybe a dozen or so yards away. But it hit, and it wasn't like I felt it, but it was such an impact that it was like a boulder coming down and just thumping once is what it was so I don't know, it's a powerful sound.
Right.
And when you think of the possibility of that being connected with something living that may not like you there, it's a really sobering experience.
Is it time to go?
It's time to go, Jeeves.
The two theories on that is either a chest thump, where we'll see this in great apes as well when they thump their chest, or they hit the ground.
Right. Yeah, it was one solid thump. So I guess, it could be, depending on, their chests are allegedly so large that I imagine they would resonate pretty clearly too, but wow. And I have seen the footage of big silverback gorillas doing that, and it's really impressive, and they're quite a bit smaller than what a Sasquatch is alleged to be. And I say alleged because, of course, I can't prove they exist. I do believe they do, but the reports coming out about them, when you're considering something, like a big silverback gorilla, for instance, if it was standing tall at its peak and could really flex its legs, it would be right around the 6 foot range. And they're huge, but they are so much wider and stronger than we are. That it's not even a proportionate kind of thing. We would just be hamburger. And then you think of a Sasquatch that is, in the 7, 8, 10 plus feet, and 1,000 pounds or 1,200 pounds of just mad. I mean,
dust. No more hamburger. That's just dust.
That's just grease spots after that, because this is and as fast as they move. I mean, we human beings are incredibly slow in natural terms. We are not.
Yeah.
We're really poor runners. We're really poor swimmers. We can't navigate the wild spaces with any kind of grace compared to these creatures. And of course, Bigfoot. Every eyewitness report talks about it moved unbelievably fast. It traversed this impossible terrain with just ease, and it just glided along this rough terrain. I mean, this is a being, a creature that has, I mean, it's grown and adapted, and it understands its terrain completely. And we are clumsy oafs, and so we have no natural ability to protect ourselves. If it wasn't for what technology and weaponry that we have, we would offer no resistance whatsoever.
Yeah.
But you think about the power, that strength, that speed. It is incredibly intimidating to think that if it wanted to, I mean, there's no question it can kill you.
Oh yeah, they definitely could if they wanted to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it wouldn't even be like a struggle. It wouldn't be like, maybe I'll land a lucky one. It's like there's nothing you can do physically to hurt these things because of just the totally, disparaging difference in physical ability.
And their agility is just off the charts as well.
Yeah,
It's like you
agility.
said, that just a couple steps and they're gone.
Right. And there again. Now, I have heard, as far as a Bigfoot, when we had Bear on, he was talking about a friend or colleague of his when they were doing an investigation. He was on a little 4x4, a little ATV, and he was going through this path, and he just had the feeling to look over, and he saw this Sasquatch running towards him at a diagonal, and he opened up the little four-wheeler, and he had it going like 40 or 45 miles an hour, and he said this thing was keeping up with him. And then he really opened it up and was able to pull away then. But, I mean, 45 miles an hour is a scary speed for something that big.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we have this rule that when we go squatching and whatever vehicle we're driving, we make sure that we back it in for a quick getaway.
Yes, I did that too.
Just in case. Just in case.
I backed up to that fence and said, "This is just in case."
Yep.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, well, we're also
Just in case.
we're also in grizzly bear country,
That's
so
true, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah, we're on all kinds of menus around here.
Not as bad as Ken down in Aussie, though.
No, yeah,
He's having such problems with snakes right now.
I know.
And the fires over there. But anyhow, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible thing. And
Wow.
Ken, we hope you're doing good.
3
Hope you're getting that
minutes.
snake situation under control. But we got about 3 minutes before the last break of the night, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a call. It's Mr. Naysay.
It's Naysay.
Hey, Naysay, I'll get to your call after the break, so just hang on the
Hang
line
on.
there, and we'll get to you in just a few seconds. But, ladies and gentlemen, again, make sure you check out Robyn's Facebook group. Again, it's facebook.com, and I think it's just Strange Realms. Is that right, Robyn?
It's strangerealms.net.
That's your blog, though, but I'm talking about the Facebook group. Is it?
Yes, it's just Strange Realms, yes.
Okay, it's facebook.com/Strange Realms. And then, of course, her blog, which is absolutely brilliant and full, just chock full of information and accounts and reports and experiences, is strangerealms.net. And you can find that online as well. What is your YouTube channel, Robyn?
It's the same. It's Strange Realms.
Well, at least you're consistent.
Easy to find.
I like the consistency. That's awesome. And I know what you're talking about as far as I try for the Paranormal Portal. Same kind of issue. Somebody's sitting on the paranormalportal.com, and I can't get it unless I want to. Well, here's the situation: is that GoDaddy will approach the owner if I pay them like $70, and then that's a throwaway fee,
Right.
to have their people contact the person, and that's not a guarantee that I'll get the domain. So I'm waiting to see if it expires too, but it sure would be nice to have that. But .net is a good angle, and I'm going to actually look at getting that for the portal. I shouldn't probably say that on the radio, but because now somebody's going to go, oh, I'm going to get that one. But no, it's really too bad that when you have an established presence like this,
Right.
that it just wouldn't be a guarantee that you could have it because, obviously you're investing a lot in that name.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way. Like I have T-shirts and hats and cups, and I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to distribute them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know. We similar thing. We have the same kind of deal, but I had a friend of mine was making them, but his equipment has gone down, and he's not sure he's going to reinvest in it. So I'm kind of hunting for a way to get our T-shirts and stuff out there again too. So, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our last break of the night. Again, they say you're on hold. Stick around. Don't go anywhere, brother. We'll be with you right after the break. You've only been there for 3 minutes, so you can wait. Just be patient. And we will get back to you after break. And if any of you guys have something that you want to ask or some other questions pertaining to the portal or our guest tonight, Robyn Moonshadow, please feel free to call. We'll be right back after these messages, everybody. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of our journey for this evening. But it's been an epic journey and a lot of great discussion. We are joined tonight by Miss Robyn Moonshadow, who is an incredible researcher and field researcher and researcher in general on all things cryptid, but specializing as well in the Proto-Pygmies and Little People. But she's joining us tonight. But I want to get to our call here because, of course, I can't leave people on hold. That's not nice.
No.
So, Mr. 701 Naysay, you're on the air, sir.
Oh, jeez. Settle down, Big Bird.
Sorry.
Wake up, will you?
I'm sorry that break is so long.
Oh, well.
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Okay.
Long-time listener, first of several calls. Three questions for you, ma'am. Have you ever been to the Ohio Snake Mounds or in that vicinity and detect any of the cryptos?
I have not. I'm afraid.
Oh, that pause makes me ponder. Don't be afraid of going to the snake mounds because it's an incredible source of energy. I myself have not been there, but the individuals that I've talked to, all of them have said the same thing, that the energy and just the feeling of the area and the local lore of the cryptos that are in the area, I would strongly suggest taking the opportunity to go there. The second question I have is about Sasquatch, and I think I've talked to you about this, Brent, off the air. Excuse me, but if you remember in northern Minnesota on the Red Lake Reservation, there was a shooting that was taken media nationwide. And ironically, in that incident, there was a security guard that was killed. Now, the security guard, was of Native American descent, and allegedly he had videotape of Sasquatch.
Oh.
And the FBI came to his home asking to search his library, which was always, was just non-understandable because why, when he was a victim of being killed?
Right.
Well, they allegedly took his videotapes.
Oh.
And the family has been asking for them back, and they were originally outspoken about this, but now recently from the contacts I have on the Red Lake, they're not talking about it anymore. But on the reservation of Red Lake, there's been numerous sightings, and of course on many reservations, because I myself am an enrollee of the White Earth Reservation, and we have an area of our reservation where we just advise people not to go.
Mm.
And so my question is, have you heard of the Red Lake incidents, or in general, a lot of the cryptos being found near or on reservation land?
Yes, I have. I did hear about the Red Lake incident, and again, not too much about it, like you said, because it got quiet awfully fast. But as for Bigfoot, yes, there were stories coming out of the Navajo Reservation and the White Mountain Apache Reservation, and even up here, we get the occasional story. Mostly the howling and the calling.
Right. And then one thing I wanted to add, when you were talking about the incidents of where trees were being uprooted and blocking roads, as soon as you told me about that, my first initial gut feeling is that I believe that these entities, just like the indigenous people, would have certain times of the years where they would gather in larger numbers. And my first assumption is that they would try to disrupt any travel into areas of where they would gather in larger numbers for the whole purpose of staying out of sight.
Well, that could be. The area that I'm speaking of is like way north of me, called North Bay. It's up past the Algonquin National Park up here. And now they are pretty big in that particular area. And I don't want to give a plug to anything, but if you've ever watched the episode of Monster Quest, and it's that area is the area that I was in.
Mm.
It's where you have to fly in by plane, and I can't remember the name of the episode. I'm sorry. But yeah, that is the general area that I was in, and that was like I said, one of the purposes that I went up there. Now,
And I do enjoy you saying the Algonquian, because actually the Algonquian people are Anishinaabe in their language, because
Yes,
the Anishinaabe
yes.
people, their territory covered almost 1/3 of North America, from New York to Iowa and up into Canada, was all Anishinaabe land, but they divided and conquered us by giving us new little different labels than what we called ourselves in our language, Anishinaabe. But I'll let you go, because I'm intrigued on hearing more, and thank you for doing what you do. And may you always find the protection of the universal spirit as you go and do this in a respectful manner, which it sounds like you do. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Thank you
Brent.
for your
Don, love you.
questions.
All right. Thanks, brother, for calling in. It's great to hear from you.
Toodles.
Thanks, Naysay. Love you, bud.
Thank you for your questions, Naysay. Thank you. I too am. I'm First Nations as well. I'm a Métis. My ancestors were Chiricahua Apache.
Excellent.
Oh, fantastic.
So yes, always enter
Miigwech,
the
then.
woods. Always enter the woods with respect, because you're entering into their home.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you. Toodles.
All
Thank you.
Take care, Nace. Nace's a great guy. He's Anishinaabe. I don't know. Had you talked to him before? I thought he called in one other time when you were on the show.
I think I have a memory of him that too also.
Yeah. Do you remember, Robyn?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. And he's a wonderful guy. He's been a great friend to me, and of course he loves all things paranormal. So what's not to like?
Absolutely.
So in this last half hour, what's coming up for you? I mean, do you have any plans on what you're going to be pursuing next? Any new developments that you're going to look into, or what does 2019 look like for you?
Busy, which is good. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I waited a long time to be able to do my field research full time because of my children.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that I get busy. In fact, I love it, because the more I learn, like I said, the more I learn, I love it, and then I'm able to share it with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true.
Well, my first trip of the year will be in February if the airports don't shut down, and I'm joining up with Dirty South Squatching in North Carolina to do some squatching and hobbiting down there. I will also be looking for signs of big cats in the area.
Oh, right.
And big wolves, known in America as Shunka-Warikin, and here they are known as a Wihala.
Wow.
And they are sometimes mistaken for dogmen, but I have a suspicious feeling that they might be something left over from the Ice Age, like maybe dire wolves.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I was waiting for the window, but you took it. That's awesome.
They do look like giant wolves, of course, but their appearances are a little bit different. I, in fact, got a report over the summer of one in my general area in Kingston, Ontario, which is about 45 minutes from me.
Uh-huh.
And this was back in the early 2000s. Was in a rural area in the suburbs, and she was walking her dog and just happened to see this, what she called a massive wolf, across the road in a dumping area. But it wasn't like a dump for like regular garbage. It was more like an industrial a dump, like for metal.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I went and I videotaped the place during the day and the night.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy though. But because we hear about domesticated dogs or animals going feral, and they and bears living by trash dumps or whatever. waste disposal, you know, because there's a lot of food that's still in there. And of course, you know, the availability of food at certain times of the year is a big draw. But you say these were more, it was more of an industrial, so shed metal, you know, steel, things like that.
Yes.
Wow.
But what a good place to hide puppies.
Oh, good
sure.
point. Yeah.
Right. So maybe they're denning in there.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
If it isn't a dire wolf, then it's probably something like we're hearing. Well, we've been hearing about this up here for years, where black bears will breed with polar bears,
Oh,
and
sure.
pensies and growlers, depending on who the parent is.
Right.
And we see wolf dogs, coy dogs, and wolves and coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So it's not a dire wolf. It could be something like that.
Okay.
you know, we have a guest on that comes on the show every now and then, and that talks about the wolf. Help me out.
Wolf people?
Dog people.
Wolf people.
But she talks about dog men in general. But she says that there's basically two different kinds. There's a dog soldier, and then there's a wolf person. And she talks like they are actually like two-legged wolf people. Would they be? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they could be related to them?
Well, I don't do a lot of dogman research
Right.
because, like I said before, I'm First Nations, and they're a bad omen for us.
Okay, that's right. I remember. Yes,
Yep.
that's correct.
And I do know some about them. Sorry, that's Tika hollering for some reason. You know, they always have to have a voice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But my mother would tell me a story about the dog soldiers,
Mm-hmm.
and they were dogmen. Now, when excuse me, they would, I would say between 20 and 50 braves went to see a bruja, which is a witch doctor. And they wanted to chase the soldiers or get rid of this particular band of soldiers in the area. Now, like I said, it was a small number of braves, so they went to see the bruja. And they were transformed into these dogmen or dog soldiers, which, given the description, they looked like werewolves, the kind that walk on two legs.
Right.
This small band of braves were able to sneak into the soldiers' camp, and it was like 100 soldiers, and wipe them out within one night.
Wow.
Wow.
And not lose one brave. It's a very, I wouldn't say it's an old story, but it comes from that time when, during the Indian Wars.
Sure.
Wow.
Speaking of that, now in the chat room a while back, and I think we never got a chance to get to it, but and I don't mean anything derogatory. I don't know if this is considered a derogatory term or not, but so my apologies if it is. But people refer to these things called stick Indians.
Oh, the stick Indians, yes. It doesn't come from my tribe, but I know about them. The story goes, it was a very hard, harsh winter.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
And the tribe was starving, and they went to different tribes to try to get help. And they did help them out as much as they could. But again, the other tribes were very hard up as well. Mm-hmm. And as time goes on, these people are starving. And they start losing people, and towards the midwinter, they turn to cannibalism. And in order to communicate with each other, they would whistle at night.
Oh.
So they would go in and, because they were desperate, they would go into other tribes and kill them and eat them.
Oh, dear.
But that's how they communicated throughout the night, was back and forth, was by whistling. And it's said that you're not supposed to whistle at night because you're calling to them.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
And that comes up in a lot of different stories.
These stick Indians were very tall people.
Uh-huh.
And they were called stick Indians because they were starving and they were so thin you could see their ribs.
Oh, wow.
I think the word is emancipated. No.
Emaciated.
Emaciated.
Thank you. Yeah. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So are they?
It's one of those stories that's very sad and kind of spooky at the same time.
So they were they. I take it they must have ended up cursed because of this, and are still out there. Is that the idea, or what's going on with that?
Yes, that's the general idea, is that they were still out there, that there were some of these cannibals that are still out there.
Oh, now are they considered a supernatural creature at this point, or are they just considered a cannibalistic tribe that still exists?
Both.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. In some places, they're considered that it's myth or supernatural and don't whistle at night. And in other places, they're considered real, as in they still exist.
Mm-hmm.
Don't whistle at night.
Okay. Now I've heard the whistling at night referred to actually in regards to the dogmen, that apparently that can be a challenge to the alpha to a battle.
Yeah, I would imagine for a dog man, that would be an insult.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, hey, come here.
Yeah.
No, well, but but I've heard this as well, and now the interesting thing is and I before Naysay, I mean, I've had many native friends, of course, but I never really got to know them as well as I've gotten to know Naysay. But he and I talk about this kind of stuff a lot, and but when I was growing up, my younger brother was really good friends with a lot of the native guys, and they told him, don't whistle at night, that it was considered bad luck. And so that must be kind of a universal thing with the native community, is whistling at night, for whatever reasons, is always considered bad.
Well, if you whistle, you attract somebody's attention.
Right.
Whether
Okay.
it be, like here with my cats, I'll whistle and I'll get their attention,
Okay.
if it's meant for them or not. So it's a high-pitched noise that grabs the attention of anything.
Sure. Okay. So just by virtue of it being a shrill noise, you shouldn't disturb the peace of the night. Otherwise, you're going to drive.
And
Okay.
at night, things are quiet too, so it travels longer and louder.
Right.
Right, and that's a good point.
Hey, do you remember when I read that story that I found on the Amino about the Stick Indians?
Kind of.
You know, I was.
I mean, I remember that you read a story about
Right.
them,
but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what Robyn's saying is what I is some of what this talks about. It talks about how they ran out of food, and they were going to the other local tribes or local encampments and they kept getting turned away. And it says their throats grew dry and their voices turned hoarse until they sounded like shrill screeches when they tried to talk. Their nails turned brittle, their skin tightened on their frames until they were thin like sticks. So,
wow.
And it does mention, whistling. So, yeah.
Eesh. That's horrible. So, of all the things that you research, Robyn, which is your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite?
Besides Little People and Bigfoot?
Well, no, I mean, even those. I mean, if those are, is there a specific Little People that you're most fascinated with, or is it just all of them?
Gnomes. Gnomes are, of course, because they love animals, of course. I also like the Narumbi because they're very clever and they're very tactful.
And Narumbi are what?
They're from Montana.
Okay.
And they are little crow people, and they, when an invading tribe would come in, they would fight with the crow people.
Oh, okay.
These guys are only like 2 feet high, and they're very strong, very powerful, and again, very fast. And they were known to come in at night, and not to get gruesome here, but they were the right size. They would rip the hearts out of the horses.
Oh, my.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. They would carry away the women and children because, when you would move in small bands, the whole tribe would go with you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it is said that they wiped out almost an entire tribe one night.
Wow.
And if they couldn't get you, they would disable you.
Oh.
They'd break your leg, break your arm, so you couldn't fight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So very tactful little guys.
So by
and when you go into the hills there, you were to ask for permission, or they'll throw rocks at you.
Oh, see, now that's reminiscent of the Bigfoot again. So there's a lot of crossover, isn't there? Okay. Now, when you say crow people, though, you mean the crow tribe, not
the crow nation, yes.
Yeah, not a bird. Okay.
Not a bird, no.
Okay. So they look like just like the little Apaches. Then they're the same kind of thing, except they're aligned with the crow versus the little Apaches, of course, being aligned with Apache.
Yes, even we have little people called spirit dwarfs. I've only been able ever to find one story about them, and it is said that they live in like little beehive type homes.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, in rocks or the hills, and they're called spirit dwarves.
Wow.
That is really cool. That's what's amazing is the amount of differentiation but similarity there are. I mean, like, so for instance, with these crow people, the little crow people and the little Apache people, are they probably most likely the same race? It's just that they aligned with whatever tribe they were closest to in geography.
Yes, it seems that they are.
Okay, right. So it's not these little individual subgenuses. They're probably just the same people, but they're just regionally aligned with whatever that tribe was in that area.
Yes, it's probably exactly what happened with all of us people, that we came here and spread out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I would assume as well. So that's phenomenal. It's just fascinating, just fascinating. Now, are there any new research developments coming out for researching little people? I imagine that with like Sasquatch and stuff, there's so many people doing it, and so that it seems like there's a lot of innovation and development and stuff. But outside of yourself, I don't know of anybody else that researches the little people.
Yeah.
Are there many people in that community?
I know of one other, and he's from Alaska.
Q.
And he runs Q. Yeah, he runs Xeno Hunters.
Xeno Hunters. So he's actually an active researcher as well. Okay, I didn't know that.
He is, yes.
And that's actually where I found you, was watching his podcast and going, oh my God, there's somebody that talks about little people. Okay, I didn't know that Q actually does that. That'd be really interesting, and it might be a great segue to see if he'd be interested to come on the show, because I'd like to hear things that he's encountered or experienced as well. But no, I mean,
he also does research into goblins as well.
Yeah, I remember watching a show, one he did about the red goblin and the green goblin standing on the bank. I thought that was incredible. I thought that was just, wow, crazy. Hey, I got a quick question. Alyssa in the UK is asking if they have little people in Scotland and what they are, if they are.
Well, you have gnomes in Scotland, and that is where the red caps come from.
Oh, the crabby ones?
The crabby ones, yep. They, in olden times, they would inhabit the abandoned castles and way stations, and they would wait for travelers to come and spend the night there. And because they don't like us, they would murder people in their sleep.
Wow.
And soak their hats in the victim's blood, thus the name Red Caps.
I told you that.
Yep.
He didn't believe me.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's not that I don't believe you. It's just one of those things like, what? It's the kind of thing you don't want to be true.
No, that's true.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So the gnomes, but there's no leprechauns there or any of the other in Scotland, since they're geographically pretty close.
Well, gnomes, red caps, Tommyknockers.
Oh, okay.
Leprechauns, they're all of the gnome family.
Right.
Other than the clothes that they wear, they are the same description.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Some have beards, depending on what their tradition is, and some don't.
Oh, I gotcha. So, Don, you could be a gnome.
The women that the women gnome, they'll wear their hair in a certain style as well. Their clothes reflect, which I believe are their clan colors.
Okay, that's really interesting as well.
And
okay.
I'd be a leprechaun. Or no, the cousins to leprechauns, the drunkards,
the curicons.
Curicon. Don, you're a curicon.
That's okay.
No, that's fantastic. And Robyn, thank you so much for being a part of the portal and being on the show and sharing everything that you know and have done, or at least a part of it. I know that every discussion we have, it's just
enlightening.
Oh man, I just keep getting more and more things rolling through my head, And maybe Haxor's right. Maybe we do need a 4-hour show.
As long as we can figure out syndication, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. We'll work on that. But thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And, I just love talking about little people because there was so much to know and so much to learn yet.
Well, it's always wonderful. And everybody out there, thank you so much for listening and being a part of the portal. If you're on TFR iHeart, tune in or TalkStream Live. Stick around for Beyond the Veil coming up next. But otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow night to give you a bedtime stories from beyond. But I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other. And Don, anything in closing?
Well, I just want to say thank you to Robyn, of course, and everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right, guys, take care. We love you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.